Today we are going to be creating custom sublimation pillows and sublimation wood ornaments. So something that you need to know first off is that you need a sublimation printer with sublimation ink, and you're going to need a heat source for this as well. I'll be using the HTV Ront auto heat press for both of these. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to clean this pillowcase with a lint roller. As you can see here, this came in at about 40 centimeters, which is roughly a little over 15 inches. And so that is what you're going to need for your pillow insert. And these are the MDF or wood ornaments that we're going to be using. They're approximately 2 3/4 inches. And as you can see on the right there, they come with a protective coating on both the front and the back. So that needs to be removed. And then you're going to clean these as well. So you can either use a coffee filter or a lint roller on these. So I started with my design. These are some designs that I made that I have on Etsy, and I'll put the link below for these. These are like Santa sacks, but you can really use them for anything, and I thought they would be super cute on this pillow. So I actually decided to use the reindeer pattern. I design in Microsoft Word. So I uploaded this image, and so then I inserted it into my design here, into my page. And so I have my margin set to 0 so that I can manipulate this image. As you can see, it came in at almost 7.5 inches by 8.5 inches wide, but there's a lot of white background there. So what we're going to do is we're going to manipulate this to get it as big as I can on my 8.5 by 11 sheet of sublimation paper. Now, I'm using HTV Ront sublimation paper 125, and I could be using 8.5 by 14, but I think it'll distort it too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this 8.5 by 11 sheet, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the rest of the area on that 15 by 15 pillow. The first thing you're going to want to do, you can see that arrow pointing straight up there at wrap and then text. You're going to want to hover over that, and you're going to go wrap and through. And this way you're going to be able to move this image where you want to on your page so that when you print it, it's going to be where you want it to be. And don't forget, when you go to print this, make sure that you are mirroring your image, reverse your image, because otherwise when you press this, it's going to go on there backwards. So now you can see by the second arrow there that I have stretched this out using those manipulation dots on there, and I've got it at 9.35 and 9.63. And so it does alter the image slightly. I stretched it out. I made the reindeer look a little bit taller and thinner, and I stretched it out, but I think this is a nice fit. I've got it on there just so that I can get this printed out nicely. So now I went into my Creative Fabrica account and I found these cute snowflakes because I'm going to have a lot of space left on this pillow to fill up. So I am going to add some snowflakes to put on another page so that we can also print these and press these on the pillow. Now that I've uploaded 4 snowflakes that I want to use, I'm going to be bringing them into a new Word document. And again, I have my margin set to 0. And as you can see, it brought it in black. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Layout Options again, which is that wrap text. But you can see the icon by this snowflake. So I'm using that this time. And then I'm using wrap and through. You can see the box highlighted for the through feature. That's the one that you want to click so that you can move these around on your page. Now you want to be under the picture format tab, and you can see that up in the top in the center, the arrow pointing to it. And then you're going to go to, on the left here, you can see the word color. So you're going to click on the word color. I'm going to be changing the color of this snowflake. I could have taken this image into Canva and I would have had a lot of choices to use to change the color, but I just decided I was going to use, they have a couple good blue choices here in Word, so I thought it's just easier for me to pick these. I, of course, don't want a black snowflake, I don't want gray, and the snowflakes that are already on my design are blue. So here is how you change the color. So I picked the first one on the left, and then the other three snowflakes I kind of toggle between these two colors. So here you can see my 4 snowflakes in the 2 different colors, and then I started adding images for our wood ornaments. Now I did add 2023 to these ornaments, the design, and I will have a link for that to my Etsy shop as well, so that these are actually going to be dated ornaments, and I used the same design as we used on the pillow. I just added 2023. So I use an Epson EcoTank 2760 that I have converted over to sublimation printing by adding sublimation ink. I will put a link for all of that below as well. But here is my first design printed out. And so you can see that came out nice and big. So I always trim my images, even the line that's closest to the edge that you're going to be pressing, because sometimes there is some ink transfer, and if you use that page full, you could have ink that you don't even see that's going to press on your pillow. So I always trim my designs down. And here is the other page of printed designs. Do not forget to mirror your images. So they look backwards on here, but when we press them, they will be the right way. So now I'm going to trim all of these down as well. So I turned my press on for 385 degrees and I've got it set for 60 seconds. Now I'm going to be pressing this pillowcase only for 35 seconds because this is 100% polyester and I want to press 385 degrees for 35 seconds on that. But for the MDF, the wood ornaments, I'm going to be pressing those at 385 degrees for a full 60 seconds. So I fired up my press here and now I am going to pre-press my pillowcase cover, my pillow cover, because you want to get the moisture out and the wrinkles. You don't want any wrinkles in there. Make sure that you use protective paper both on the top and the bottom because you don't want to be picking up any ink from other things that you've already pressed. And always use clean paper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that zipper hanging over the edge just a little bit, and I'm going to press this at 385 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. Now I let that pre-press cool down, and now I am going to set my images on my pillowcase so that you can see how I want to press this. Now you can see that I've added the snowflakes where I want them to be, and I've got the design on there. My press is 15 by 15 inches, so it sits on there just right. So now after I line them up the way that I want them, I'm going to flip them over because of course you want the image on your pillowcase. And you can use heat resistant tape, and I suggest you do that for your first few projects. I don't on cloth just because I have had it show up after I press, and so I am careful and I'm not using heat resistant tape. So after I set it down the way I want it, then I'm going to slide that zipper right off the edge and I'm going to cover it with protective paper. And again, I'm going to press this at 385 degrees for 35 seconds. Now, you're going to want to hold the protective paper so when your press opens or you lift it up, that protective paper does not move. You do not want your images moving. They will ghost. And so you want to hold that paper down until you're able to lift them off. So the first thing I do is I lift off the protective paper straight up, and then each one of the images I lightly lift it off very carefully so that that hot paper doesn't leave any ghosting. Now I've put a couple arrows here on the left. You can see what we call press lines or press marks. And so in order to get that out, because polyester will hold press marks, so what I do now is I'll lay a clean piece of protective paper over the whole pillowcase, and I'm pressing at 385 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds again. And then as you can see on the right, that took care of those press marks. And so they came out real nicely. They do not come out in the wash. Typically, a lot of people will think that they're going to come out in the wash. They won't. So you want to repress this to get those lines out. And here is our pillow. I just absolutely love these pillow covers because you can change them out for the different seasons. You can put this away, you can put an Easter one, you can put spring. It's just so nice to have these pillows and be able to change your covers out. So these Sublimation pillowcases are definitely a win. Now I've cut my designs out. I have all of my protective plastic removed off of these ornaments. I've cleaned them. Now I'm going to lightly tape these images in place. Make sure that you're not putting them upside down. Make sure that your design when you hang it isn't going to be upside down. And so now I've got them lightly taped on, and now we're going to move them to the press. I'm just using plain copy paper for protective paper on my press this time. So I have a piece of copy paper on the bottom for my protective paper, and then I'm going to set a piece of copy paper over the top of these as well. So now you can see I've got the image on my ornament, and this is the way we are going to press them. This is how you want to put them in your press. Now ceramic, I do both ways. Sometimes I put the design up and sometimes I put it down. If I put it down, I'm going to be pressing for at least a minute longer. But ceramic is totally different. You can see my other videos for that. But for MDF, I always put the image on top like this, and then I'm going to cover it with another piece of protective paper, and I'm going to press 385 degrees for 60 seconds. You're definitely going to want to be using heat-resistant gloves for these. These do get the 385 degrees, so they come out very hot. So here it is on the right. You can see my first one here. So what I do is I let them cool slightly before removing the tape, and then I set them on another clean piece of copy paper to cool. So these are the 5 ornaments cooling on a clean piece of copy paper, and you can see I did do all 5 of them at one time. I have done up to 8 ornaments at a time in my HTV Ront auto press, but for today I just did 5 at a time, and they turned out very well. So here I just added some garden twine to these, and they turned out absolutely adorable. I would say that these MDF wood ornaments are a win. And here they are together. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. I have put links below for items that I've used in this video, and also a link to my Etsy store. Thank you.